We'll get started, see who else filters in by grabbing coffee. My name, some of you may have seen me yesterday. I'm Tom Powell with Resolute Capital Partners. We're a private equity firm that's based out of San Francisco, but because I live in Lake Tahoe, most everybody's in Nevada for tax purposes. As Dave says, we're expats that like to not pay taxes when we don't have to, kind of like the people here in Texas. It's my pleasure to bring up our Senior Vice President and head of our capital markets part from Resolute Capital Partners. Chris Most and I have been working together for a number of years, and he's helped expand us to the little more than 2.2 AUM, 2.2 billion, just to be clear, on that AUM that we have as a relatively new private equity firm in the space of where we play. So let me bring up Chris. He's got a quick little presentation on what we're doing and how it works. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, sir. All right, thanks, Tom. It's always nice to be introduced by the founder of your company, right? Not a hard act to follow at all. So, as Tom said, we are a private equity firm out of San Francisco, California, and we specialize in deploying and managing assets in the real estate and technology spaces. Let's see if we can get this to work here. There's this. Aha, there we go. And when it's your birthday, the marketing team puts up a great picture of you on stage. So with that, there's a QR code. Go ahead, and if it's to scale, pull out your camera, right? And hit the QR code. That'll get you all of my contact information, and you can reach out to me with any questions you have after the presentation. And it wouldn't be a presentation on a security if we didn't have some disclosures, right? So basically what this is saying is this is for informational purposes only. I will be using some forward-looking statements, so things like I expect or we anticipate. These are things that we believe are reasonable statements, but there's no guarantee that they will happen. This is not a solicitation. As part of the sales team, you'd know if I was trying to sell you something. It'd be pretty obvious. This is just a presentation again. So if it was a solicitation, it would be accompanied by the offering documents and the private placement memorandum. So Resolute, who are we? Again, Tom said we're born out of Tom's private family office, and we have 560 million in capital raised currently. Tom talked about that 2.2. It's actually closer to 3 billion in private securities placed in acquisitions. So there's a lot of experience on our team where that comes from, and the company is really built on these three pillars of experience, diversity, and education. And again, when we're talking experience, we're 52 professionals that have over 1,000 years of combined experience. I believe we are, somebody have to correct me on this one, 9 countries and 5 languages that are spoken within our company, and that's pretty significant when you're dealing with 50 people. And then when you talk diversity, financial services industry that I grew up in, many of you did as well, it's white male dominated, we all know that. So our company is over 50% female. And these were not females, there we go. Yes, and I was going to say, and to follow up on that, we didn't go hire females and say, here, we're going to put you in, it's just a roll off in the corner. No, our co-founder and managing partner, female, our general counsel, thank you, Jackie, in the room, right? Our chief operating officer, head of marketing. So these are women in very powerful roles in our company, and we are thrilled to have them as part of our company. And you're stealing the thunder for my next slide. I love it. Well, I know, it's because we have fun. The bottom line is we have fun at our company. We like what we do, and we're good at what we do. So there's a lot of interaction. This is normal business for us, especially when we're all in the same room. Last step of education, Tom leads the way on that. Tom had to duck out early yesterday and again today because he's still taking another advanced class at Harvard. He has homework today. So if you can believe that, by the look on his face, he's like, yep. But again, we have, JDs, doctorals, master's degrees. They outnumber the people on our staff. So we're really proud of these 3 pillars that we built this company on. And then to mention, the head of our real estate, Kathy Kane. Kathy runs our real estate division. And she coined this phrase, and it really does sum up not just real estate, but everything we do in our company. So we really are bringing institutional grade assets coupled with that institutional grade management for the individual investor. And that's what we founded the company on. We wanted to take these assets that we were seeing at the private family office level and institutional level and bring them down to the accredited investors and give them access. Because again, they were missing out on some of these great deals, these early deals that they couldn't get their hands on. So we took these and brought them down so we could issue them to that individual investor. This is something you'll see again. This is kind of the process we go through. We're using a scalable infrastructure, using our network of relationships, and that's key. The key to what we do in our business, it's all about relationships, who we know, and who we've done business with over the years. And then we always want to have significant investment capacity in the opportunities that we're bringing. So the Great Accelerator, there's always trends in real estate, right? And so there was trends that were accelerating, there were trends that were slowing before COVID. We coined COVID the Great Accelerator. It just took those events and brought them to fruition that much faster. So through that, we came up with a two-pronged approach that we're using within our real estate. And the first is the immediate growth assets. So we're looking at residential, and not just your typical single family, but really high-end resort living on the residential side. Then we're looking at warehousing because, again, part of that acceleration was working at home, being at home, ordering online. It went from ordering some things from Amazon to bringing all of your office equipment, food, everything else in between that you had to get delivered, so that warehousing was in a great shortage when that big acceleration took place. And then again, that couples in with the distribution and data centers. On the future side, this shoe hasn't dropped yet. We're still waiting for it because, as you know, there was moratoriums on evictions and things that weren't taking place at the time, but we're starting to see them start to come to place again. So we're looking at repurposing some of the assets that are out there. So hospitality, for one, taking hotels that maybe aren't as great as this, that have as much diversity to offer the clientele, but smaller hotels, and converting those things into things like workforce housing. Looking at traditional retail and office space, and again, converting that to that last mile distribution. These are the theses we're working on, because it's not so much at the port where the problem is, it's getting that last mile out. It's getting those deliveries into the communities and then getting them out from there. Now, when I talked earlier about that high-end retail, or I'm sorry, the high-end residential, this is a project that we developed. So Tom was able to acquire 22 lots up in North Star, which is up in Truckee, California, in Lake Tahoe. And the first picture that's up there, the one right there, that is the artist rendering of the building of what we wanted this project to be. Every other picture up there is a real-life picture. So it's live, it's not Memorex, for those of you that remember that phrase, right? So that is the actual project itself. And part of so it was a trick, getting this whole project to fruition, because the construction time up in Lake Tahoe is from May to October, because as you know, it snows a lot up there, and Tom can attest to that, right? There's a lot of snow in Lake Tahoe. So it's how do you get these built, and how do you get this to the end user faster? And so what we were able to do is excavate, pour foundations. These are still stick-built, but they are stick-built in modules in Bellingham, Washington. And then they are trucked in and set in place. So we can pop up 4 of these pretty fast. And we just set another 2, was it? Last week. Another 2 just set in last week. This is another, talking about that move. So you had families in the Bay Area especially that were stuck at home working. They had kids, they wanted outdoor experience, they wanted to be out doing things, but they were stuck in their homes. This was the market that served, and we were told when we first listed these, they said, you're gonna have to build them to sell them. They said, that's not the market. You have to build these things and sell them. The minute we put these online, we had orders coming in. We're actually sold out. So it's really an exciting project for us. So we kind of proved them wrong, and that's one thing we like to do at our company. We like to step up and say, you know what? We know what we're doing, and we're gonna go ahead and do it, and it actually worked. So we're actually really proud of this project. I'm going to slip over to our technology side now, because we do specialized real estate and technology. So Hanmi Pak, who runs our real estate fund, talks about that network of relationships again, right? And it's that unique position that it puts us in to see these innovative companies and get a firsthand look at of the companies that we can get. And again, our playing field, we're dealing in some pretty big spaces. With BlackRock's, Elliott, Goldman, Bezos. One of the projects that we have on right now, we are a co-investor with SoftBank and Elliott. Not only are we a co-investor with them, we have the same deal terms as them. So we're proud of that relationship. We're able to step in and really get some great access to some great companies at the early stage of their business. So again, all these companies, what's our process? What are we doing to look over them? Well, first, again, we're using that ecosystem of our relationships. So the VC and PE networks that we're a part of, because we just don't have the relationships. We have partners that actually built companies, developed companies, and sold companies with these partners. So they have firsthand knowledge and direct contacts with inside of these companies. And again, the alumni networks. I go back to the education pillar of our company. And that's, Tom's relationships at Harvard. We have relationships at Oxford, Stanford, all these great networks where we can draw from. Then again, our entrepreneur network, and then our industry experience. And then the due diligence. This is now when the work starts to take place. This is how we weed out a lot of companies, right? So the first step is looking for that proven management team, right? These are what we call serial entrepreneurs. These are people that have done it before. These aren't the two college kids sitting in their dorm room coming up with a nap that's going to burn out in 3 months, right? These are people that have taken companies from beginning to end. And Pat Kelly, he has a company in our portfolio, I'll talk about him in a minute. Just for an example, he brought one of his companies earlier and was purchased by Cisco Systems. So these are the type of people that we're dealing with, really, really intelligent people, serial entrepreneurs, and people that have experience in this space. And then we're looking for early stage, right? We want to get in there. Tom and I were looking at an article earlier today, and they're talking about the appetite with a lot of the bigger VC firms, how they're looking for that, late B stage, even though the more mature companies. But you start seeing diminishing returns at that point. So we feel with the due diligence process that we employ, we can get access to these companies and get access to really great companies again in that early stage, kind of that early A, if you will. Give us some latitude, so we'll go. We're between seeding and late A somewhere, right? But we're not going B and we're not going friends and family. But we're in that late A stage. And again, proven revenue. So you hear the term post-rev, right? So post-revenue, they have revenues, they have a service that is viable, and the market is acquiring it, they're buying it. They may not be profitable though, and to us, that's right where we want to come in, just before that profit takes over or starts kicking in, but they do have revenue. And then a significant market opportunity itself. So we don't want to sound cliche, but we do really want to work with companies that are changing the world and are really breaking the mold. We want to companies that are stepping outside the box and are really going to change the marketplace that they're in. And with that, they have to have a defensible position, though. And that defensible position allows them to really be the leader in that industry. That's maybe through IP, maybe through an acquisition, it may be through personnel that they have on staff. But they have that moat around their building, so to speak, so the competition is not great. And then again, as we talked about earlier, we're looking for scalable infrastructure, extensive networks and relationships, because it's those relationships that we build, even the relationships we're building here, right? They're going to help us all grow forward, and then having significant investment capacity. I'll go through 2 companies real quick because our tech fund has 3 verticals. We are in the health tech, reg tech, and fintech areas. And in the health tech, this is Pat Kelly, who I was mentioning earlier, who had the exit to Cisco, came up with a company called Routinify. And we all have parents and grandparents that would like to age in place. They want to stay in their homes, right? They want to maintain their independence. But they're going to need, some help, a couple pushes along the way. This is employing wearables and tablets into the marketplace. So these people, we can monitor them from home, right? So are they sitting in a chair too long? Did they open their refrigerator today? You have to take a medication. Up on the tablet, here's what the bottle looks like, here's what the pill looks like, because Lord knows they're probably taking more than one medication, right? So they don't want to get them all confused. So it actually shows them. There's a therapist showing up at 1 o'clock today. Here's a picture of the person coming. And then on top of that, the care community that is invited into this network can see everything that's going on. So when that therapist leaves or that doctor leaves for the in-house appointment, they can broadcast out to the care community. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of where they're going with it. This is really taking telehealth to the next level and allowing for that independence for the elderly. And then under the fintech side, we're dealing with Blackline. Blackline was founded by Mark Kubinski, and it's a really unique, again, thinking outside the box with the accounting and tax prep space. So it's basically, it's like an auction site, basically. You can go on and say, I need a simple tax return. I can go out, it'll throw it out, and then different CPAs will bid on it. All the way to a company who maybe just has an internal tax team, but they're getting into some more complex returns. They're not quite sure how to do those things. So they can put this out and say, I need this particular form filled out, or I need help with this. They can throw it out, get bids on it, into that professional community and have that taken care of. So again, really taking things that are, again, outside the box, right? We want those companies that are saying, we're going to change the industry. The industry isn't changing itself, but we want to change how business is done inside of it. So those are the type of companies that we really like to look at. And just to wrap it up again, we link money and opportunities. That's really what we do at our company. So we're taking, again, finding those entrepreneurs that are in need of capital, and then finding those investors that really want to get in that early stage, and we're marrying those two together. So with that, again, because it's my birthday, right, I get my picture on stage again. So my contact information is on there, so please feel free. Get the QR code, and you can reach out to me directly. I believe if I can go back. Yes, I can. That QR code right there will bring you to our website. So if you want to have more information on the funds and what we're doing, you can go to the website, sign up for access, and you can jump on and see everything from marketing materials right down to the private placement memorandums themselves. So with that, on behalf of Tom Powell, our founder, Jackie Kuiper, our general counsel, I thank you for listening in and enjoy the rest of the conference.